Cloud of Darkness Savage begins with Ground-razing Particle Beam, a standard Raidwide AoE. This is followed by the Art of Darkness. In the Savage difficulty, Art of Darkness has 3 different possibilities. In addition to the half-arena cleave from the normal difficulty encounter, Cloud can begin glowing with an aura of shadow, signaling players need to spread to clock positions, or can have 2 glowing orbs at once, signaling that players need to split into pairs. My group uses these clock positions, and to form our pair stacks, we have the cardinal players rotate clockwise. These clock positions affect later mechanics, so I recommend using a similar formation. The first Art of Darkness will always be either the clock spread or pair stack mechanic, with both being cast back to back. Devouring Dark is a 2-part tank buster, first delivering a magic vulnerability up debuff to the tank, followed by a magic column AoE buster. This can be handled with a tank swap during the cast or with invulnerability cooldowns. Obscure Woods will signal the first phase change, dealing raid-wide damage and transforming the arena. Flood of Obscurity knocks players back and plants fall on them shortly thereafter. Cardinal players should drop these on the edge of the arena, while intercardinal players should drop them near the corner while preserving some space between the plant and the edge of the arena, as the party may need to dodge along that edge later. After placing the plants, the party moves into the boss's hitbox while maintaining their clock positions around Cloud. She will begin casting Rejuvenating Balm on 2 opposite stones outside the arena. These function exactly as they did in normal, but won't resolve until a little bit later, so make a mental note of where the safe untethered statues are at, either north and south, or west and east. When the purple circles around their feet disappear, players run away from their plants to break both sets of tethers. Be mindful not to run into any plants while breaking these. As soon as your tethers have both broken, report to the nearest safe spot that you observed during the Rejuvenating Balm cast. Cloud will next use one of 2 possible mechanics, tethering her tendrils to one of the cardinal stones, signaling she will be jumping to that stone. Wide Angle Phaser Unlimited will have her jump to the tethered stone, cast a very wide 160-degree cleave, followed by narrow cleaves on both tanks and both healers, and finally a massive point-blank circle AoE. To resolve this mechanic, we have the party split into 2 groups of 4 to stand on either side of Cloud for the 160-degree cleave. The tanks then run out of the stacks to face their cleaves away from the parties, while the healers and DPS share theirs. Finally, everyone clears the area to dodge the massive point-blank AoE. The second possible mechanic is Anti-Air Phaser Unlimited. Cloud will jump to the tethered stone and immediately cast an enormous point-blank circle AoE. This is followed by large tank buster circle AoEs on the tanks and split damage circle AoEs on the healers. Finally, Cloud does the 160-degree cleave and the mechanic is resolved. We have the tanks stay out at the beginning, towards the middle of the arena on opposite sides to avoid cleaving the party or each other. After the large point-blank AoE and the split party AoEs have resolved, we all meet at the edge of the arena to dodge the 160-degree cleave. The second Art of Darkness is the same as Art of Darkness, only with 2 mechanics back to back. Pay attention to the animations and position accordingly. Empty Plane will signal the next phase change, transforming the arena into a 5x5 grid and dealing raid-wide damage. If you stay on one tile for too long, or if 2 players occupy the same tile, it will vanish for a few seconds before reappearing, likely resulting in deaths. We have the party organized into different clock positions for this mechanic, in order to maximize uptime and positionals for melee players. Flood of Emptiness will make the tile under the boss, as well as the 3 tiles in every corner, unable to be occupied. It also gives players a debuff that prevents jumping, and a 15-second debuff that sends a narrow cleave in the direction players are facing at the end of the timer. Shortly after the Empty Plane cast, we have ranged players move out to their cardinal tiles to heavy the hypercharged Cloud adds. Ideally, the healers and ranged DPS can kill all 4, but if not, the melee can step in to help if players are well coordinated. While killing the adds, watch your debuff and make sure to face away from other players when it falls off to avoid cleaving your friends. With the 4 clouds dead, players need to move back into their starting positions for the upcoming full perimeter particle beam, a Dynamo type attack with a safe spot around the boss's hitbox. Ranged players will move back out and melee will refresh their tiles while watching the boss's next The Art of Darkness cast. This will be a cleave on either the west or east half of the arena, so the group will need to relocate to the other half in a coordinated manner. Most players will already be in position, while those on the side being cleaved will adjust. We designated the tanks at 1 and 2 as adjusters. As soon as the Art of Darkness cleave goes off, Players need to move back to their original spots to avoid trapping the range players on a single tile for too long. The next Art of Darkness cast can be clock AoEs or partner stacks, although I've personally only seen clock spread during the first empty plane phase. If you've mimicked our positioning for this mechanic, then you'll already be in position for clock, and if it's partners, you can just straddle the edge of your square with the player of the opposite role beside you. After the Art of Darkness cast resolves, we have range to move back out to their cardinal tiles so melee can refresh one last time. After that refresh, range players can move back in. Deluge of Darkness will signify yet another phase change and arena transformation, dealing raid-wide damage. Summon will cause 2 clones to appear around the outside of the arena, either on cardinal or intercardinal points. Cloud will cast the Art of Darkness, cleaving either left or right. When this cast resolves, the clones will also cleave the same side in the direction they are facing. I've looked at a lot of examples of this mechanic, and the best advice I can give you is that if they are cleaving their right, you should position so that you are to the left of all 3 mobs, and vice versa if they are cleaving their left. I spent some time trying to find a particular pattern, but so far haven't found any easier tricks for this one. The third Art of Darkness features 3 subsequent Art of Darkness mechanics. Cloud will first cleave either her left or right, then will cast either clock spread or pair stacks, and then will cleave the opposite side as she did for the first cast. Obscure Woods brings yet another phase change and more raid-wide AoE damage. For Flood of Obscurity, we handle it exactly as we did earlier in the fight, dropping our plants in the same position, and meeting in the boss's hitbox in our clock positions. Just before you break your tethers, you'll notice 8 Meteor towers appear, with 1 inside and 1 outside each intercardinal. We have a simple formula for tower assignments. If you and your stack partner normally stack at 1, or northwest, then you will take the towers at 3, or southeast, with the melee player taking the inside tower for uptime, and the ranged player taking the outside tower. Break your chains as normal while avoiding plants and find your tower. You have a large amount of time to reach it, especially with sprint. Cloud will repeat the mechanics from the previous Obscure Woods phase, with one notable exception. During her Rejuvenating Balm mechanic, she will also cast the second Art of Darkness, cleaving half the arena. This cleave will always cut the 2 Rejuvenating Balm safe spots further in half, followed by either a clock spread or pair stack mechanic. To minimize distance traveled, players should dodge Rejuvenating Balm in the safe spot closest to their pair stack marker. For example, if your pair stack marker is 1 or northwest, you will want to dodge Rejuvenating Balm at either A, north, or D, west. Watch Cloud's animations and position accordingly. You've seen all of Cloud's mechanics now. She will repeat the empty plane tile phase, and at the end of that will cast a lengthy Enrage. The DPS check is very forgiving, so prioritize mastering your positioning in this fight, and the rest will follow.